Monopoly by Grit.
Welcome to Monopoly, yet another episode of our podcast. Today we have Simone from Hermitage, who is the sales manager at Hermitage Homes. We're going to talk about a very, very interesting topic today. Welcome to Monopoly.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into it, have you played Monopoly as a kid, Simone?
Yes, I loved it as a kid. I'm a very, very competitive person amongst my three sisters.
Right.
I loved it always won as well.
Who was the banker? Is that why you won?
The eldest was always the banker. They were the rules, I guess, the eldest child.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game.
It is, yes.
That was the rationale behind the name Monopoly.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's a great idea.
All right, so we're going to talk about co-living, which is a very interesting topic and a hot topic right now.
It is.
Let's talk about what exactly is co-living so that everyone would understand in layman terms.
Yeah.
And why is it important to an investor?
Yeah, sure. So it's mainly focused for an investor.
Yeah.
So it's typically a 4-bedroom home with 3 bathrooms or en-suites. So 3 of those 4 bedrooms are tenanted out. So you have 3 separate tenancy agreements, and a property manager will look after it as a normal tenancy agreement. But yeah, so obviously your client or the investor will be getting 3 times the rental income as opposed to a normal build.
Yeah. That's the beauty of it, right? I mean, you might get 400, 450 a week, whereas here you can turn over like 750 a week. That's
up to 900 if you're lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it's from an investor's point of view, it's cash flow. It's cash flow is the king, cash is not the king.
Yeah.
This is a cash cow. That's what it is.
Yeah, definitely. More money in your pocket.
That's right. And I understand these are very, very popular product among investors. It allows you to have a positive cash flow. But is that the main driving factor for this? Or is there anything else which is attractive towards an investor?
Look, it's definitely one of the main focuses. It is a no-brainer to choose a co-living product over a standard build if you're an investor.
Yeah.
Like I said before, you're getting 3 times the rental income. So it is one of the main reasons you would choose a co-living product.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're comparing to maybe an NDIS, it has better resale value as well.
Yeah.
So if you're umming and ahhing which route to go down, I would say co-living is a much smoother, easier process.
Yeah.
You do get just as much as a rental yield with that, but it's a much easier process and a better resale value.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because from a resale point of view, it's a value-added product. There's a 3 bathroom instead of 2.
Exactly.
And
when you're comparing to other houses in the same street, you've got that 3rd bathroom. So when you are reselling this property, it's going to stand out more than your neighbours.
Yeah. Are we always looking at a 4-bed, 3-bath or 3-bed, 3-bath as well as a product?
So you can do the 3-bed, 3-bath. At Hermitage, we sell as a 4-bed.
Yeah.
We have prominently 4-bedroom builds that we're selling, working on doing some more. But you can use that 4th bedroom as a living space, so a 3rd living space for the tenants. So not only do they have their own private bedroom, they have their own private bathroom or ensuite, and then another private living space as well.
Right.
So I believe that's quite important for the tenants. When they're living in amongst other people, they don't really know.
And having 3 bathrooms, is that a government regulation, or is it because it's having an ensuite for each? Is it an ensuite for each bedroom?
So we can make it. A lot of the way that our builds are, so there's 2, you have a master with a walk-in robe and an ensuite, bed 2 which has an ensuite and just a built-in robe, and the 3rd bedroom has a shared bathroom or ensuite. So some people do choose to add an extra door to that shared bathroom, so it can be made as an ensuite. But I guess for resale value, you do want it to be a main bathroom, so it's accessible to anyone in the home.
Yeah. But is that a government regulation if you're doing sort of a rooming, 3 separate tenants to have
Yeah. So they it's required to have their own separate bathroom space as well as their own private bedroom space. Yep.
Right. Okay. All right. And what drawbacks or cons do you have in a co-living investment? What can you think of?
Yeah, look, with this one, I believe the only really drawback that I can think of would be privacy amongst the tenants.
Yeah.
So a lot of the tenants maybe not be used to living with people they don't know.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to have a property manager who is experienced in this area. So someone who, Certainty Property, who we partner with, they've been doing this for over 4 years now. They know co-living very, very well. So they manage the property with 3 separate tenancy agreements, and they can rectify any issues between the tenants or, any of those issues. It's up to the property manager to, rectify those issues as opposed to the client.
Right.
Or the
And
investor.
if the tenants fight with each other, then that's up to the property manager to sort it out, is that?
Yeah, I guess. It depends on the situation. But if they're not getting along, then I'm sure one of them may not want to live in that property anymore. With Certainty Property, like I said, they've been dealing with this for so long now. I can't imagine there being too many issues as they know what they're getting into, moving into a house with people they don't really know. But Certainty Property do have a 3-week turnaround time to get a new tenant in that property if they wish to leave.
Right, okay. So it's not a 12-month tenancy. Is it a short-term tenancy for each of them?
It really depends. So it's a case by case. Really, it's like 6 months, 12 months, whatever it may be. It is up to Certainty Property will get all the applicants and provide them to your client or to the investor. They will choose the tenant. So it's just like a normal tenancy agreement where they choose the tenants. They can choose, okay, this one's got 6 months, this one's got 12 months, and they can all have different agreements. And Cam at Certainty Property can, if the 6-month lease is up, he'll find someone new within that time to replace it. So that's why he's managing the 3 separate tenants.
Right. But if you really think about it, if you go to flatmates.com, that's all rooms, which are all shared accommodation. So people are really used to it. And then when a tenant comes in, he should be in the mindset, okay, that's my room, that's my bathroom, and in ideal world there should not be any fights. But
you would think so. Who knows these days? But look, the only really areas that they're sharing is the kitchen and the laundry. So I can't imagine there be too dramatic issues that arise. But if that's there, that's something that Certainty Property can definitely look after them for. For them.
Yeah, so there's a lot of benefits, but can you think of any other drawbacks for an investor's point of view? Is it a higher cost to build such a co-living product?
Look, when you compare it to our standard builds, you're obviously paying for an extra bathroom. So a lot of our builds are 4-bed, 2-bath, whereas the co-living is a 3-bath. So you're looking about $8,000 or $9,000 just there for the extra bathroom or ensuite. There's a few other inclusions like the pull-out drawers in the kitchen. Each tenant has their own lockable pull-out drawer for all their, noodles, whatever that they keep in there. And then also the digital lock pads that they have on their bedroom door as well. Look, these aren't really that expensive. You're looking at a couple of $100 for those ones, but it really is just the extra bathroom. But then again, with resale value, I don't really see it as a negative. You're only benefiting from that.
Yeah, understood. In Victoria, what would be the best or the most popular suburb for co-living right now?
Look, I feel like Ballarat is probably the highest at the moment, just purely looking at flatmates.com. We recently did a search and there was 75 people looking for a 4-bedroom furnished home, looking for a room that's furnished to live in, and there was 0 available. So it's crazy to me. That was last month when we looked at that, and there was a few other areas like Werribee and Clyde, Pakenham, all those built-up areas that are close to amenities, train stations, universities, hospitals, because you're finding these tenants to be typically students, nurses, migrants, people who just want to save up to buy a house. So I feel like being close to train stations, things like that is where we're finding it. But Ballarat, Werribee, Clyde, where it's a little bit more built up, but yet there's still greenfields, they're the main areas that we're finding.
I think it's just the supply and demand, that's about it.
Yeah.
And I noticed that too, there's a huge undersupply of rooms in Ballarat.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. So, and on top of that with Ballarat, the land's obviously a lot cheaper. So it's the best for investors to purchase there. It's honestly a no-brainer. The land is cheaper and the demand is there for the rooms. So that's probably the best place I would say to purchase, and that's where we have been selling them the most.
Right, okay. And let's talk about numbers. It's so in terms of rent, so per room we are looking at 250 at a minimum to 300 into 3 can vary from 750 to 900 a week, right? Yeah, so that's nearly $3,500 a month, which you can easily pay off a mortgage and have everything else in your pocket.
Exactly. So you're comparing with your standard build where you get 450 to 500 max. So it's about 23 grand a year in comparison to like 45 grand a year with co-living. So it's almost double, pretty much double. It's a lot more money in your client's pocket. So that's why in my eyes, if you're an investor, you're definitely best to go the co-living route. It's no-brainer, like I've said before. It's definitely the way to go. Yeah.
And the investor has to furnish these properties too, right, before that goes out to rent?
Yeah, so it's what they like to call suitcase ready. So the tenant should be able to go to their house with just a suitcase and some linen. The whole house needs to be furnished. So Certainty Property do offer a furniture pack. It costs $25,000. You can include this in the build price. That's no problem at all. We can include that. Your client just needs to be aware it can affect valuations.
Yeah.
Another payment option that Certainty offer is you pay half at handover, so $12,500 at handover. Certainty Property get early access to the property and they furnish it for you. And the client's able to move in straight away, and the remaining amount, $12,500, is paid over the rental income over the next few months.
Right, okay.
So you've got the two options there. We would prefer obviously going through Certainty because they know what is needed. They include everything, white goods, beds, cupboards, you name it, everything, cutlery, it all. $25K is a lot up front, but if you choose to do it yourself, it can creep up and you may miss some things that are required.
Yeah. Apart from the furniture, is there any other cost which can incur for the investor?
No, not really. We, like I said before, we include the pull-out drawers and the digital lock pads that go on the doors. That's all that's really required. They can choose to have a split system in each room. With our builds as a standard, we do include one split system.
Okay.
Some people choose to choose evap cooling, which is only about an extra $3,000 to have that in lieu of the split system. But some tenants like to choose their own climate. So sometimes it's better just to have the split system in each room. So you just add an extra 2 split systems. So you've got 3 for the each bedroom. You're looking about an extra $2,500 for each split system.
How do they divide the utility bills? That's up to themselves? Or is that property manager's job?
No, that's so the $30 per week is dedicated to utilities and Wi-Fi.
Right.
So that's all the tenants has to pay. And it's all under the client, the landlord's, the investor's name. It's all under his name. He pays for all the bills, and they have to provide an extra $30. It is negotiable, obviously, but generally it's about $30. Now, this is why Certainty Property also but they do recommend getting solar. Obviously, bills are so expensive these days, your electricity, everything, it's so expensive. So getting solar is probably a little bit better for your client. Again, more money in their pocket. They can, if they get solar after handover, they're able to get the government subsidies. It's better doing it that way rather than including in the bill, as well. They're not able to get the subsidy through the government.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I feel that this is a better investment than NDIS. So if you do a real comparison with NDIS, if you look at the issues NDIS properties has, one is valuations don't stack up mostly because the construction cost is really huge. And also it takes long period of time to get the tenants. And also resale value, it has to be an investor, or you need to refit the property again, spend some money to resell in the normal market. Can you think of anything else other than that if you could do a comparison with NDIS and co-living?
Yeah, sure. So with NDIS, the first step is sourcing the land. This is very difficult, finding super flat land that's the fall is going a certain way. There's so many requirements to get the perfect land. Not only that, the build, like you said before, it's really expensive because of all the 1B compliance stuff that you need that needs to be included in the build. The time it takes to build it as well is also extended when you compare to a co-living. NDIS is just takes so much longer. You're looking up to 10 to 12 months, and then finding an SDA provider and getting it tenanted. I mean, we know some horror stories where people have some NDIS builds that are just sitting there with no tenants. So, it's just harder to tenant as well. So there's so many hoops to jump through. With co-living, it's just a standard build. So there really isn't that many hoops when you compare. So it's cheaper, it's quicker, and much better resale value.
Yeah. And the valuations do stack up too. So lending will be just like a normal build.
Yeah, exactly. So, the banks are accepting the appraisals that we're giving them. The finance is easy. So you just got to find the right mortgage broker. I'm trying to think of my words. Mortgage broker that can assist you with that. But we're finding that the valuations have been pretty much spot on so far. Yeah.
And from an investor's point of view, I think the critical element would be the property management piece, because that's where you manage your income, you manage your property, and if that's done right, then it'll be pretty easy run for an investor's point of view.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we partner with Certainty Property. They're so experienced in this area. They have seen it all. So, negotiating the rent, what's included in the rent being the Wi-Fi, or even little things like getting a little bit of extra rent for the car space, or the walk-in pantry or walk-in robe, little things like that can be negotiated with your client, between your client and Certainty Property. They can help you get more rent in that way.
Okay. So you said they are going to include like $30 a week, or what? Is it a week or a month?
Sorry, $30 a week each for the utilities and Wi-Fi.
Right.
They can also get an extra $30 for, so we have a four-bedroom homes, tenant 3 of them.
Yeah.
The 4th bedroom can be used as a living space. It does will have a digital lock on it as well, so your client can choose to have that as a storage space.
Yeah.
So one of the tenants can pay an extra $30 a week to have a whole bedroom dedicated to storage. So there's more money there, as well as, like I said, the car space as well, the double garage. There's 2 cars that can fit there, so there's more rental income you can gain from that too.
Right. So do people rent out car spaces separately?
Yeah, I mean, when you're comparing, you can say, extra $10 a week and get a car spot, or not, and then just it depends on how your client wants to go about it.
Yeah.
And Cameron Black from Certainty Property can discuss that with him and his options or her options.
All right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So when there's multiple tenancies, as you said, it can be 6 months, 1 year. It's really based on the tenant's preference.
Yeah.
I guess the property management team probably is flexible, unlike a normal standard tenancy. Would they go month to month as well? Would you know that?
I think it's just case by case again. It really is just a standard tenancy agreement. I guess they can do that. They probably prefer not to. The demand is so high, they probably don't need to. Cam has said that 6 to 12 months is pretty standard. A year ago, he was saying, 6 or 12 months was the standard lease terms, but now he's finding it's about 12 to 15 months is standard.
Right, okay.
And I think it's purely just because of the current rental crisis that we're in at the moment. People just can't afford to live in, a house, an apartment in the city, which is $550 a week. $250 to $300 is a lot more attractive.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. And how about the routine inspections? Do you know how frequent that would be? Is that the standard 6 months? Or?
Yeah, I believe it's just the standard 6 months.
Yep.
Again, standard tenancy agreement, if your client wants to have more regular inspections or whatever it may be, it just depends on the tenants and how it all goes. But case by case again, but I'm sure that if your client wants to have more regular inspections, they can, but it is just a standard agreement. So 6 months is usually the way to go.
Right, okay. Again, if you put the investor's hat on, why would someone go with co-living instead of a normal, let's say, established property?
Look, again, more money in your pocket.
Yeah.
It honestly is a no-brainer in my eyes. You're looking at, like we said before, it's a 6 to 7% rental yield. So in comparison to the rental yields in Melbourne at the moment, you're looking at about 3 to 3.5%. So it's pretty much double. So, I mean, if they're an investor and, if they want more money, that is definitely the way to go. Even if they want to live in it in 2 years' time, it's so much easier to move into a a co-living property as opposed to like an NDIS or a dual lock or
Yeah.
one of those. So co-living is, even if it's just for the interim, it's more money in your pocket for that smaller period of time, and then they can move in after that.
And it's best of both worlds too, right? It's positive cash flow from day one. At the same time, there's capital appreciation too, because it's a decent block of land. What sort of size of land is it? At least 350 square meters?
The smallest we can go is 294.
Okay.
So that's our Jackson 18. It's 18 squares. It's a single garage, 4 bedroom, 3 bath, and it's got the 1 living area, or the 4th bedroom is a second living area, and it fits on a 10.5 by 28.
Yeah.
So that's as small we can go. We wouldn't recommend going any smaller, purely resale value and just, space for the tenants to live in.
Yeah.
But in saying that, we are working on other floor plans. We have a double-storey floor plan which fits on a 14 by 16 block.
Right.
We find there's some blocks in Ballarat, for example, that are 14 by 16 for $190,000. So
Wow.
super, super cheap, but super, super small. But we can get a double-storey 20 square house on that, which is 4 bed, 2 living, 3 bath. 3.5 with the powder room downstairs.
How much would that be as a package?
So you're looking at around $650 again. So
Yeah.
just if you're able to source that small block of land, we're able to cater for that too. So it is around the same as a single, because the land price is, $350, $400, whatever it may be, depending on the area.
Yeah.
So roughly around the same. So we're finding the packages to be anywhere between $600,000 and $700,000.
Yeah. That's pretty standard these days. You can't find anything cheaper right now.
No, you can't. That's the standard. Very different these days.
Interesting. So where do you think in the next 5 years, do you think co-living is going to become a dominant product in the market? Or where do you think this will go in the next few years?
Honestly, I feel like Melbourne or Australia as a whole, we're pretty last to the party with this co-living stuff.
Yeah.
You see it in New York and London and all that. It's been the normal for quite some time.
Yeah.
So we've got many years, I feel, to fill this space. It's only really just getting started. We've been pushing it for the last few months. We did a few last year, but really pushing it the last few months as we feel it's the best way to go, especially with the current rental crisis, and also just the demand, the fact that it's there. We've got 660,000 migrants coming over the next 2 years. They need somewhere to live. So for us, it's the best route to go. We believe co-living is the future.
That's right. And people talk about build to rent and things like that. But I think expanding on this, if more investors can get into this, it'll ultimately sort out the rental crisis we're going through right now.
Yeah, I believe so. It's just another option. More money for the investor, and it's cheaper for the tenant as well. So it suits all parties.
There you go, co-living. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll be in touch with you with the future episodes. Thanks for watching.